So we're talking dating stories, and this one I'm gonna label New York girl. Because I live in South Florida, a lot of people are transient. They come to visit Florida to see what it's all about. A lot of people that come from the north, Montreal, New York, New Jersey, what have you, they come down here to experience the hot weather state, but they go to a big city because they're used to a big city, so they go to Miami. And unfortunately, Miami is, let's just say, very plastic. It's not what you think it is if you're from New York. Like if you're watching things that are happening in Miami as a positive, don't get me wrong, it's a great, big, beautiful city. There's a lot of money to be made there. There's a lot of high-end people, but the vast majority of Miami is fake, meaning people fake it to make it. They rent their Lambos. There's 7 guys in a 1-bedroom apartment, all have sharing a Urus or something like that. So it is more about the show than the reality. So a lot of people come down here because they go, wow, it's popping. Let me get down there and meet a bunch of guys or see what the deal is, or just kind of check out Miami. And then when you get here, you come to the realization that Miami, in terms of the city of what you think it is, the reality is still very good, but it's not this crazy show where everyone just has a bunch of money and there's just a bunch of stuff going around where people can just, live a high lifestyle and be able to afford it comfortably. A lot of the people here fake it to make it. But specifically, people from New York come down here because it's a big city. So cities are usually put together so that you can walk easily. Miami is not that place. Okay, if you're a walker from New York City, meaning you're used to walking to restaurants, bars, all within 10 blocks of each other, that's not Miami. Miami is not made like that, okay? It's Brickell, and then there's nothing else. And then you gotta drive over to Wynwood, and if you take the wrong turn at Wynwood, you will get stabbed by somebody. So you really have to pay attention. Well, probably about the same as New York, but you really have to pay attention. So I was using Hinge, a new online dating app that I've been dealing with, and it's actually pretty good because you get a lot of matches, and they seem to be actual people, whereas Bumble, Tinder, Match, not necessarily the case, but Hinge is decent. Not great, but decent. But you gotta understand, it's still online dating, so you still have to deal with the online dating bullshit. So New York girl apparently decided to vacation because she worked from home, meaning she was able to work remotely. So she came down here to work remotely, but in Miami. So after that, she went out and enjoyed the Miami lifestyle. So she kept her application on and she matched with me. Now this girl was insanely attractive, to the point where I was like, is this a real profile? You know, she was Puerto Rican, light skin, blue eyes, gorgeous curly hair, and I'm like, boy, I must have hit the jackpot, So I'm like, is it even a real profile? Because there are a lot of fake profiles, scams, so you have to kind of do the vetting on it. She ended up being pretty legit. She expressed interest. She was consistent in communicating. So I think to myself, well, if she's down here from New York visiting, why am I going to enter this situation? But I've always also said that love is not going to come knocking next door. So if you are looking for a connection, distance is not an issue, specifically for me because I have the means of traveling and being able to date people all over the United States if I want to, if there is that connection. Okay, so we have that out of the way. So after meeting her, we set up a meet and greet, and she felt a little uneasy about the meet and greet. And I was like, what do you mean? She said, well, you're all the way in West Palm. I'm in Miami vacationing. So I feel weird having you come all the way down here. And I was like, well, if you feel weird about me coming to Miami, how are you gonna feel when you go back to New York and me visiting you in New York? And she says, fair point. So when I meet her, she seems to be doing work on herself, right? It's very obvious that a lot of women use the online dating apps not to look for dates or love or a potential partner. It's to have validation. Am I still attractive to the opposite sex? What is my value? That is what a lot of women use online dating for. They are sad that they're not with somebody, they're in a funk, they go on the online dating apps and they get thousands of likes. But remember, a woman that's a 5 has the same sexual pull as Brad Pitt. What does that mean? A woman that's a 5 can go to any bar and get laid that night. Just like Brad Pitt can go to any bar and get laid that night. A man that's a 5 does not have that kind of sexual pull. So there's a false sense of self-worth on the female side because they think, all these guys like me, I must be hot shit. not really. A lot of guys just want to bang, and they're willing to bang a 5. If it's late at the end of the night, they're playing closing time over the speakers, and you're like, all right, I gotta get something, get some road hole and get out of here. So this woman, I think, was doing the work. She was basically trying to find self-worth and validation, dealing with past traumas, dealing with mommy and daddy issues. So she's like, well, how am I gonna do that? Well, I'm gonna go to use online dating in Miami to see what the dating pool in Miami is like, and she comes across me. So when I meet her, she says she's been on dates down there, and I'm like, I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not a big fan of, let's just say, like if I go to Boston for a week, I'm not gonna date 3 girls in Boston. I'm gonna date one girl that I like and see it through, because what are you doing unless you're just looking for sex? Right, ladies? You're telling me you're in Miami with a lot of good looking dudes and you're meeting multiple men and you're not looking for sex? Please stop your lying. Like, come on, stop it. So if I'm in Boston and I'm dating multiple girls, I'm looking for sex. But if I'm looking for love, that's different. So we had that conversation. I was very forward about that conversation. Anyway, we get along great. She says all the right things. We video chat. We're having a great back and forth. I'm going, let me not go fully into this because I know how online dating works. Everything changes when they go back home. So about 4 days later after we met, she goes back home, and of course the communication slows down. You know, you're not seeing consistency anymore, and you're just like, okay, I'm a big boy, I know the deal. Let me call her on her bullshit. I say, hey, are you really interested in pursuing something? Because when you were down here, you made it sound like you were, but based on our conversations and your lack of consistency, something tells me something changed, or maybe you realized you can't do a long distance thing. Of course, she wants to have a conversation about it. I said, no, I'm not looking to have a conversation about it. I need clarity, because I'm very easy and straightforward. Are you willing to date somebody long distance or not? Or do you need to have this long-winded verbal diarrhea of explaining why you're not into it? She needed to have the long verbal diarrhea. Women just can't say, I fucked up, I met you, you're a nice guy. Maybe I was just looking for dick, but I met a nice guy and I didn't want to hurt his feelings, so I didn't really want to, you know, hurt your feelings that way. No, you're actually wasting my time by not telling me right off the rip, hey, I just want dick, and then, you know, maybe I was looking for dick. I'm like, hey, I'm available. But if you were giving the signs of relationship and a thoughtful and in-depth conversation, then you were giving off the vibes of like relationship. So that's where the disconnect was. So when she got back home, she must have just reset the whole drama situation. She saw all the validation that she saw in Miami. Oh, I got a lot of validation. I got a lot of likes. A lot of guys like me. Then she goes back home and deals with whatever she was trying to get away from, and it resets her thought process, and it makes her go, shit, I'm probably not ready to date anybody. So she needed to have a conversation on the phone or video chat about, no, it was on the phone, about why she's having anxiety of having me potentially visit her. And I said, look, just be honest. You're not into it because you thought you were just gonna have fun in Miami, and you were getting away from your stress, drama, and trauma. For whatever reason, you're having trouble connecting with people in New York. You say, let me get out of here for a little bit. You get to Miami thinking that Miami is gonna change you. No, if you have trauma and shit you're dealing with, a change of location is not gonna fix that. And then when you meet a nice guy or nice people out and about, you realize, shit, I'm still fucked up. Then when you go back home, you validate that you're still fucked up, and then your anxiety goes through the roof because this nice guy has good intentions, wants to visit you, thinks you're great, and you are nowhere near ready to offer a relationship to that person. That is something very common. Gentlemen, women in online dating, I want to say at least on online dating, 60 to 70% are there just to feel validated. It's like Instagram, but with a dating app. Look, I matched with 40 guys today. Look, I matched with 90 guys today. When men match with 2 or 3 women a week, women, most men just swipe right. They don't even look at your profile. You're somewhat cute, they just swipe right. Or women love to have these guys on their match list. They say hi to you, disappear for 3 weeks while they bounce around and double fist at Duffy's. And then all of a sudden they come back to you a week later and say hello. I'm like, the carousel probably got a little empty and she's resetting, or she just happened to get down to you, number 100, and say, hi, Mr. 100th person who validated that I'm special. How are you doing today? Knowing that, you need to understand how to navigate it. So this is a real quick test. If a girl says hi to you, you say hi back, or you say hi to them and they say hi back, and there isn't consistent communication at least a couple times a day, then she's not interested in you. She just likes to have that list full of validation. Ladies, if you're going through trauma, if your head is not right, you're not in the right headspace, changing location and then dating in the new location that you're going to be temporarily in, nothing wrong with that if you're just looking for sex and attention, but don't give off relationship vibes saying that you're ready, saying that you want to get away from New York or wherever you are from to fix your shit to see if the people are different, and then revert back to the same stuff you were getting away from when you go back home. It is an interesting thing using online dating, but New York Girl was an awesome woman, beautiful, gorgeous lady, just used Miami as an escape, and unfortunately met a nice guy that she was like, oh shit, let me back off from this situation because I'm definitely not ready to date someone like you because I'm not in the right headspace. Online dating, in terms on the women's side, is full of women with headspace issues. Hopefully that helps you navigate the online dating arena. It's a nightmare out there, but again, as long as you go into it knowing, having the knowledge that a lot of these women are just looking for validation and looking for an escape, it can actually be a little fun. Thanks for listening, guys. I'll talk to you later.